Welcome to Movie Baiters with the Farx Brothers. I'm Kyle.
I'm Kirk.
And this week we have, we'll let you guys introduce yourselves. Ladies first.
Hello, I'm Laura.
Hello, my name is Nathan Block. I have a last name.
Oh, that's totally fine. Kirk and I both have the last name Farx as it relates to the podcast, because Kirk is a Farx brother now. This is how we're telling people is through the podcast.
Farx.
F-A-R, thank you. That is an important part of the
right
branding.
spelling of Farx, yes.
Yeah. And we're here to talk about the movie Borderlands, and thank you guys for agreeing to be guests.
Of course.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
I want to be convinced that I missed something, because Kirk and I, I'll just tell you honestly up front, we walked out and I was like, I don't play the game, so I will ask like if you've played the game. Kirk has, I haven't. It just felt not so bland that I had nothing to be angry about. Like, I wanted to go in and come out angry based on what reviews had told me. So
yeah, I was expecting a dumpster fire, like they said, and it wasn't much of one. It was just.
So you didn't like Claptrap?
that's on the rundown of what we can start there. That is, I think, the divining line of this movie is: did you or did you not like Claptrap?
Well, okay. First of all, let's clarify one thing. I haven't played the game.
Okay.
So I didn't really have a frame of reference. But having said that, I don't think that something based on prior material that knowledge should be required to see a movie. I think the movie has to stand alone on its own. And okay, yeah, you're going to have the people who have seen the source material, read the book, played the video game, read the graphic novel, whatever. But a movie based on previously written or published material, it needs to be able to stand on its own. And for me, the movie did that. And I don't really have a good frame of reference, so to go in there and understand the characters and understand who they were, I was fine with it. And I thought that Claptrap was by far the best part of the movie because he was the most believable comic relief. I thought the girl was a little much. I forget the actress who plays the
Ariana Greenblatt.
Yeah, thank you.
She's
thank
in
you.
Barbie, so I watched that and Super Mario Brothers, I think 3 times in the past week.
Wow.
I thought she overdid it a bit, but I thought that Jack Black, just as the voice, he stole the show, much like, Gollum stole Lord of the Rings in many places. I thought that Jack Black stole Borderlands, and he wasn't even on screen.
Fair. You liked Claptrap as well, I'm taking you, Laura?
Yeah, I thought it was a good break. It was like when you've got a big meal and somebody gives you pickles and how pickles cuts the fat. I felt like Claptrap did that.
I did laugh occasionally. Kirk would call me out if I didn't admit that it was more of a... You're right to say it was a different shift in the tone. Again, most of us, except for Kirk, have played the game. Kirk, do you care about, just to answer Nathan's kind of thing there, did you care about anything from the game that they didn't include or should have included?
Not really. I mean, the game certainly helps you, but it's so different from the game that I could separate it. And Claptrap, I agree, is the best part of the movie. I liked him the most, and he was... I mean, some of the characters aren't really fleshed out either, so he's just a very good comedic relief, and I think he played his part well.
He reminded me, and maybe, I don't know, maybe this isn't even relevant, but he reminded me of 343 Guilty Spark from Halo.
Yeah.
Like, if they were going to make a Halo movie and they didn't include 343 Guilty Spark, that would be like a colossal misstep. But he just kind of reminded me of that character.
Someone right now is screaming into their headphones, I hope, that there's a TV show of Halo. Is that character... I didn't watch it, the TV show of Halo.
Yeah, he shows
didn't
up
watch it,
in
honestly.
one episode.
Okay.
I didn't see it, but I saw like a review of it that, he shows up.
Is this Reddit information, Kirk? You have to tell me when it's from Reddit.
No, I saw it on YouTube.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Laura,
Potato.
what was your relationship to the other characters? Did you specifically like anyone else?
I did not dislike anybody else. But I went in there with the intention of just enjoying the movie. I didn't think too hard. I didn't try and get into it. I didn't try and, solve the world's problems. I thought all the characters were I thought all the actors played a good job with that character that they were given. All the characters were very distinct. You knew basically up front who they were, what they wanted, and where they were going. There wasn't a whole lot of mystery to solve. There wasn't a whole lot of depth. It was just, I'm a bad guy. I'm a good guy. I'm a funny guy. I'm an annoying teenager. They just, that's what they were. They didn't try and be more or less.
Why does the bounty hunter character care about the other characters? That's something I didn't understand. Like Kate Blanchett's character is, Kirk's gonna correct me because that's its popular. What's Kate Blanchett's character's name?
Lilith.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why does she change to care about the team?
Well, because she couldn't.
Necessity.
I felt like she realized that no matter what situation she found herself in, that she just couldn't do it without the help of everybody else. And it was sort of the fact that she didn't really have a family, and so she was sort of becoming a part of this really, really dysfunctional family. And then the Jamie Lee Curtis sort of shows up and completes that background picture for you. And she was amazing in that very, very, very throwaway sort of role.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes.
Oh, I thought that was from the Rain Man School of Autistic Acting. That would really rub me the wrong way.
Oh, I loved her. I thought she was great.
Okay.
I liked her, and I liked, in terms of on-screen presences, I liked her and Kate Blanchett the best. I thought Kevin Hart was surprisingly flat.
Yeah.
And that is by far the biggest flaw in the film, is that either he was miscast or they reined him in too much. He should have been allowed to go crazy, kind of like Chris Pratt did in Guardians of the Galaxy, where half of his stuff was just ad-libbed. And I think if they would have let the reins off of him a little bit more, you could have very easily, this could have been another Guardians of the Galaxy if he would have showed up and not just kind of zoomed in his performance. And if Goldblatt could have dialed it back a little bit, this could have been another Guardians. But it doesn't quite reach that level.
I've heard you and other people say it was supposed to be Guardians versus Mad Max, which were bad expectations to walk into this movie with, which I didn't, because, I was going, what is Kate Blanchett doing in a video game movie? And I feel like I now know the answer is that she was going crazy during COVID. And to your point about why is Kevin Hart so flat and Adriana Greenblatt not flat. I knew that was going to rhyme, and I didn't want to start singing, Laura, as you were before we got on. But you're aware that a lot was cut out of this movie and rejiggered, and then they reshot a bunch with Tim Miller, not the director, Eli Roth.
Yeah. I mean, it felt like there was a much richer film that we're not going to get until the Steelbook.
Do you think they'll put out an alternate cut because this is bombing so hard?
Kino Lorber will buy this thing for $1.5 million, and then they'll put out the Steelbook, and it'll come out eventually, but
okay,
it'll take a while.
I would I'm more interested in the story of what went wrong than I am than I remember anything about the movie. So okay, so just to recap, Claptrap we're all kind of cool with, but I've definitely heard the feedback being not so cool. Kevin Hart, we all agree, but is that because of cutting or something like that? So from the story perspective, sell me on what did I miss about the story? Because that's part of what made me not engaged in the movie was, why do I care about any of these characters and what's going on with the story? It seems like a video game, not to be,
I think with Lilith's character, she started out being a cold, heartless witch who was only after the money. She was just doing a job. But then she found this island of misfit toys and where she fit in. And so she decided to, she was still after her prize, but yet she still fit in and wanted the best for everybody, I feel like. Like she kind of became, I don't know, mom. And then, her substitute mom, Jamie Lee Curtis, popped in, and they had their little ups and downs a little bit. But essentially, I feel like she grew. She found a family, which she didn't have before.
I would argue, she found a daughter for sure. I don't know if because she doesn't really interact with Krieg, the big psycho that's part of their family. She doesn't really interact with Roland. She doesn't really interact that much with Tannis. She's just kind of mad at her, and they don't really close that story either. So I get what you're getting at, but I'm more like she found her daughter and not necessarily a family.
Well, she made up with Jamie Lee Curtis's character. They had their reconciliation, which I feel was important because with the flashbacks or whatever, her mom ditched her with Jamie and said, go play or whatever. But I feel like she still grew. She might not have been warm and fuzzy to everybody,
Right.
but she still grew. She still evolved. She still ended up having feelings, which she didn't in the beginning.
Feelings, nothing more than feelings.
Oh, so you get to sing and I don't?
I don't know why you don't sing, to
Yeah.
be quite honest with you. I'm sorry. I brought a lot of Lydia Tarr into this movie, because that's the last time I interacted with Cate Blanchett in a movie, not that long ago. And I like what you're saying, that, we got a lot out of, and I think that's good, is that, hey, we got a lot out of this over 50-year-old actress character. It's based on a 20-year-old in the video game. I wish I didn't know that. Who becomes the character she is in the game, as Kirk told me later. Is that correct, Kirk?
Well, no, in the game, she has those powers off, right? In the beginning of the game, she's a member of a group called Sirens, and they all have powers.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, see, I knew none of that going in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't either.
I knew it was off a video game, but I didn't care. It's like I left my brain at the door and just enjoyed the moment.
When people say left their brain at the door, so here's a piece of information Jamie Lee Curtis gives to Cate Blanchett. We're just going to use their actor names because
I can't remember their characters either.
Lilith and
Tannis or
Tannis? Yes, sorry,
Yes.
Lilith and Tannis. No, we did it. I'm going to do it.
Tannis,
So
yeah.
Tannis tells Lilith, I think your mom wanted to keep you out of this game by having you come over to me. But then, as we figure out at the end, that is completely. She was wrong. She did want her to find her special purpose, to use the thing from the Jerk. So Tannis, while she was forgiven, and yeah, there's a lot I see in that arc that I could see you graft onto it. So I'm glad you've made that argument. But the movie gave me the opposite of what was real and didn't address it, which to me seems like a result of bad editing, probably, and not a bad editing from a story management point of view.
You're not wrong.
People tell me that when they're mad at me.
Well,
Is it heaven like hell?
Yeah.
let's be clear. This movie does not live up to the potential that it had. When I first saw the trailers for this, and I'm talking back at CinemaCon before anybody had seen anything, I honestly thought this was going to be a new Guardians of the Galaxy. That was honestly what I thought. They trotted everybody out on stage. Everybody talked about how much fun they had. It was a big deal. The hype for the movie, for that 10 minutes or so that we were all in Caesar's Palace together, was great. And I legitimately thought that was going to be, because Guardians was released in August too.
Yes.
And ended up making, the first one, ended up making a ton of money and has become one of the most beloved of that universe, and is actually my favorite film in that universe.
Yeah.
Because of just how marvelous it is. So let's be clear, Borderlands is no Guardians of the Galaxy. But I don't think it is worthy of the visceral hate that it's getting, because I've seen a lot worse.
Such as, name them. You show me.
I'm going to get you canceled, and everybody's going to send me nasty messages. Captain Marvel is way worse than Borderlands.
That's a great Star Trek movie.
No
way
way,
worse. Like, it's not even close. Captain Marvel has got to be the worst superhero movie of the last 2 decades. There are no stakes. Nobody is in danger. There's no sense of urgency. There's no sense of a hero's journey. It is just a great, big, pretty mess. And Borderlands, at the very least, there is at least something at stake. You really think that these characters could die. You really think that there is stakes for the characters. There are things to be won. There are things to be lost. There's identities to be discovered. There are arcs to be considered. There is none of that in Captain Marvel at all. There just isn't. And that is yet another example of when you talk about a movie having to stand on its own, you need all of that knowledge from the show in order to get the movie, or you're lost.
You mean from the other Marvel movies?
Yeah, because there's the Disney Plus series, the first.
Oh, I would argue against Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. being necessary to appreciate that Coulson's still alive. Because everyone sees Coulson die in Avengers in 2012, but then how is he back in 2019 because it's a prequel?
Well, I got into this great big argument with this guy that I go to the gym with, who loved Captain Marvel, and he kept saying, "Well, you haven't seen the show. Well, you haven't seen the show." Well, I shouldn't have to see the show. If I wanted to see the show, I'd see the show. If I want to see a movie, I'm going to see the frickin' movie. That you can't tell me that. That's just ridiculous.
And that's why you'll never get a Dark Tower series. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're absolutely right about that, because there's how many books in that series?
12 or something. I can't.
Yeah,
Wow,
how
really
can
12?
you possibly expect to put that into a 2-hour movie? And that first one that came out was just an abysmal failure of epic proportions. I mean, if anything deserved its own episodic series, it's Dark Tower.
Oh, yeah. And there was a time where that was going to be planned, but who knows? Maybe, what's the guy? Mike Flanagan has it now, so we'll see what happens. I want to stay on this Marvel thing. I totally agree with you that you don't need to watch show to watch a movie. But I disagree with you. I like Captain Marvel. I just do.
So do
I
I
saw it at a good time in my life. I don't really care. I think it's mostly because I saw it when I came back from my honeymoon that I was and I was just hyped on Avengers.
Well, yeah, and all of this ends up being very subjective anyway, because if you really have an affinity for those characters, you are probably going to like the movie. But I sort of come at it where, like I've been saying all along, the movie really needs to stand on its own. And I didn't think that Captain Marvel did at all. And I was just so frustrated with all the light energy. I mean, the soldiers are just shooting at them, and like nothing's landing, but then they just go pow, and everybody just vanishes. It was like you're playing a video game on infinite cheat mode, where like you just can go through and just like blast everybody. The whole thing felt like that. There were no stakes. Nobody ever seemed in danger. The whole thing was just like, well, let's make it pretty. And
yeah, that one was in the Guardians realm for me, but this movie, it doesn't exist unburdened by what has come before. Sorry to the Vice President.
That made infinitely more sense than the way.
I'm not going to comment. We have a debate show because we think that debating subjective topics is good for encouraging conversation, and hopefully people talking more encourages other types of conversations. Nick has reminded me, and as is Kirk, that this is not a political show. But Deadpool and Wolverine just came out, and the setting, looks exactly the same. And Laura, you said you like Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
So was
Yes.
it hard for you to go from Deadpool and Wolverine to this? Because I'm sort of surprised. You're like, oh, I like this too.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed
I don't think about it too much.
Right.
Yeah, I really like Deadpool and Wolverine for different reasons. You know, Deadpool and Wolverine it was fluff, and they admitted it was fluff, and they enjoyed the fluff, and I enjoyed the fluff. You know, I liked how they didn't take anything too seriously. They had fun, and you could tell they were all having fun. You know, even when the characters were, you know, in danger or scary or whatever, they were still having fun. You know, the stakes were not that high.
Yes.
You know,
I think it's a bad movie to compare it to because, again, it's another movie that you need to watch 19 other movies before, technically.
see, I don't do
Wolverine,
the superhero movies, and I haven't seen them all.
Yeah.
But I still loved Deadpool and Wolverine.
Mm.
I'm sure, you know, half of it went over my head, but I didn't mind that because the stuff that didn't was hilarious.
But I think what really makes Deadpool and Wolverine such a great movie is, I mean, you're right. They didn't take it too seriously, and Ryan Reynolds has now done 3 movies where it's tongue planted firmly in cheek. But what was really at the core of Deadpool and Wolverine was Deadpool's need for acceptance, even though he did his absolute best to deny it. He still wanted a place to fit in. It really meant to him, even though he was trying to play it off, even though he was trying to go, I don't need anybody, blah, blah, blah. He really wanted to be an Avenger. He really wanted to fit in. He really wanted a family. It's almost like a companion piece to Borderlands.
Okay.
He really wanted to fit in. And it really shows how good Ryan Reynolds is as an actor, where he can be that irreverent, but yet you could still tell when he's talking to him, like, you really want to be an Avenger, you really want to belong to something, and then all of a sudden he gets real serious and he's like, yeah, I do. And you're buying it. You really see there's a glimpses of vulnerability in that character that are just genius and really are the glue that keeps that film together, because you can only dance and sing and bamboozle your way through that film. That only goes so far. If there isn't something underneath it, some deep longing, some, again, stakes of a character or an arc to complete, it gets old real fast. And that was his arc, was to feel accepted and needed and wanted.
Could you describe anything in Borderlands that way? Because I think Laura kind of did, but I didn't. That arc, I saw pieces of it, but I didn't see. You just described a definite arc of what I heard going into Deadpool and Wolverine, and was sold to me, and I did buy when I got there.
Well, yeah, I agree with Laura. I think it's Blanchett's character that she has a very similar need to feel accepted and wanted and part of a family. She's kind of that, and maybe it's slightly a stereotype. Well, I'm a loner. I work alone. I'm doing this. I don't need anybody. But in reality, she did. She misses her mom. She is running from the fact that she didn't really have much of a past. And she finds this island of misfit toys, like Laura said, and then she feels like she belongs. Now, it's too bad where Borderlands falls apart, and I agree with you, what you said earlier, Kirk, is that none of the other characters really seem to have that three-dimensionality to them. So we really only get that for Blanchett, and so that makes the film feel somewhat uneven, because nothing really seems to be at stake for anybody else, especially for Kevin Hart, which is super frustrating, because I really wanted him to be good. He's such an amazingly versatile actor, and he's just so funny as a stand-up comedian, and he's so human in like his routines. I just watched him in the trailer and I was like, I can't wait to see this guy in this role, and I was so disappointed. So I think that's where Borderlands comes up short, where Deadpool and Wolverine succeeds, is that there just isn't anything for the rest of the characters to do in Borderlands, whereas in Deadpool and Wolverine, both of the unpopular Wolverine and Deadpool each have their own personal demons to fight, and by the end of the film, they've both vanquished them both.
Indeed. One of the things that Kirk brought up that right after the movie that hit me hard, and again, in comparison to Deadpool and Wolverine, is like, they're in a dirt planet, but no one's dirty.
Yeah, but after watching the movie for a second time, it's not
You watched Borderlands a second time?
Yeah, in preparation for this,
You're an animal.
I gotta refresh on
applaud
this,
that
yeah.
level of
commitment to
preparation.
the debate. Yeah,
I had to do that for Alien, but Kirk will get into
yeah.
why
I mean,
at the
it's after watching it a second time, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, they are dirty in some parts, but they are still a little too clean
like
for
the
my
pea
taste.
field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is a rated PG-13 movie. You're not gonna see blood or anything like that. I mean,
I understand the game is very violent. Well, you're
very violent. Yes.
Could this movie have been improved if it was more violent? If you disagree with me, that's fine. This is a debate show.
It would have given it more of a aesthetic, maybe. Yeah. It would stand out more.
Where are you guys at with more violence? You're
Well,
adults.
I mean, again, I don't have a frame of reference, and I'm actually really, really glad that you brought that up, because so when you say violent, I mean, is it like super graphic in terms? Is it like Mortal Kombat sort of blood,
No.
or is it just like you mean violent as in you're killing a lot of people to
You're
complete
killing
the
a lot of
missions?
people, and there are a lot of bullets flying around. There's a lot of movement. There's colorful characters.
Okay. Because I think that the comments that I've read that people who really dislike the film, they don't like the fact that it's PG-13. They thought it should have been R, and like you already brought up, they don't like the casting choices at all. So those seem to be the two major complaints. So but having not played the game, I don't know. But it's a real risk, and I'm got my theater owner hat on right now. It's a real risk to take an untested IPR and make it R-rated. I mean, that's why it took Deadpool so long to get made, because you immediately cut off a third-year audience that could buy tickets and propel that.
It's a third. That's the estimate on when it's an R-rated
Well,
movie.
when you're thinking like kids, adults, and like older, like seniors to middle age, so you're just sort of slicing that pie. And when you're talking about a superhero movie, you're not even really figuring in that older demographic at all. So now you've even got a smaller pie that you're essentially probably more or less cutting in half. And with Deadpool it worked, but there have been plenty of other films that haven't. And I sort of think that this would have been the same way. It would have been like, well, it's an R-rated superhero movie that we've never really heard of unless we've played this weird video game. I just don't know. I think it would have been a risk either way. Obviously, they've lost a ton of money either way.
Yeah.
So,
would you have liked it maybe better? Could I convince you it could be better if it were more cartoony, or just a cartoon to begin with? Because that Super Mario Brothers movie seemed to do pretty well, even though I don't think a Super Mario version of this, well, maybe a zany Illumination version of Borderlands, I would give it more character.
I think that if they wouldn't have said, this is based off a video game, they probably would have gotten a bigger audience. Because I think when people say, oh, I haven't played the game, I don't know any of this, why would I go see this movie?
Yeah.
But I feel like having Tiny Tina, a teenager, as the main character, I think you probably could have gotten more teenage girls in there if they wouldn't have had the preconceived notion of the whole video game aspect of it. Because she as much as annoying as she was, she was a teenager. She was a teenage girl. She had teenage girl problems. I think a lot of teenage girls could have related to that if they would have been brave enough to just go see a video game movie.
Have any of your formerly teenage daughters seen it?
No.
Because they're all, the youngest one's 20 now, right?
Yes.
So she's no longer a teenager.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. I've worked with her youngest daughter just for, and so has Kirk, so has Nathan. Everyone,
I just feel like if it wouldn't have been this is a video game movie, it probably would have done better. Because Mad Max did okay.
Not the newest one.
It was. I like that one too.
Oh, I liked it, but Nathan, did it do well at your theater?
It didn't do bad.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought we were busy.
Compared to, that's really relative, though, compared to the 3,500 other screens that it was doing business
Yours
on,
is all I care about.
Lack thereof, but yeah, I loved Furiosa, but then again, I'm in a minority of people that liked the movie, but I thought it was the second best film in the franchise. I loved it. I loved it more than Fury Road.
I think the critical reaction's been positive, and for the fan, I haven't heard negative things about Furiosa. I'd like to if people have those. We skipped it because Nick didn't see it and Kirk wasn't back yet. And
I saw it. I liked it. So
Yeah,
I have
there
nothing
wasn't
bad to
much
say
I saw
about
it
it,
twice. I loved it. I thought it was great. I don't get the hate.
Okay, so I'll hit this from a different direction. Here's what I don't like about this movie, and I think it can be proven with an objective fact. Eli Roth is like Kmart Zack Snyder, who is Kmart Michael Bay, who, Eli Roth should have a style by now, but he's like crappy Ron Howard in that he goes through all these other genres. You're laughing too hard at this, which means you don't agree. Name an Eli Roth movie each of you like, please.
No, I'm laughing because you're hitting it right on the nose.
I agree with you.
He can't decide from 1 minute to the next if he's going to do Hostel, if he's going to do, what was the other one with the really spooky native people?
Green.
Yeah, the green whatever it was.
Not Hornet, but green something.
No, I know what you're talking about. He can't decide from 1 minute to the next what film he's going to specialize in. And, you know his name, which I guess is a good thing, but I agree. He just hasn't found his groove. And he's also kind of like a bit like M. Night, where he thinks he can do everything. M. Night has done literally every single genre of movie with varying degrees of success.
Because his first was a romantic comedy, right?
The Sixth Sense?
No, the 98. He made a movie before Sixth Sense.
Oh, okay.
The Sixth Sense is his second movie.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm not familiar with the first one.
But somebody, if you're listening to this, go look it up on your phone. But The Sixth Sense is not his first movie because it's a bar trivia question that I'm very familiar with.
But at any rate, the point is that I agree. Eli Roth he's just on his quest to find his groove, his perfect genre, his perfect style. And I mean, he keeps throwing food at the wall. But a lot of it just doesn't stick.
Is that a Thanksgiving joke? How did Thanksgiving do for you when it played last year?
Did okay.
Okay, so it was an okay horror movie.
Did okay.
Base hit, B kind of level for you guys?
Yeah, kind of meh. I mean, horror movies always typically they live in the late show column. So the first couple of weeks you play it all day. You play it 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. And your 1, 3, 5s do single digits, and then your 7s do well, and your 9 o'clocks go gangbusters. So then when you're finally allowed to split it, and I can put it behind, Despicable Me or whatever, then all of a sudden it does 30, 40, 50 people, which is awesome, because that fills my weird time slot that I have to fill. But nobody's going to come to Despicable Me at 9:45. But they'll come to Thanksgiving. They'll come to Long Legs. They'll come to Cuckoo.
Long Legs. Yes.
Yeah.
Because that played for a while for you guys. Whereas
I
Cuckoo
still have it.
Yeah.
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 It's still doing well.
You don't have Cuckoo anymore, I assume, though, right?
I didn't get it. We were too small to make the cut. sometimes they look at if it's going to be a limited run, if they're going to have a certain number of screens, they're going to go, well, we want the screens with the big grosses so that we can boost our per screen average, and then we get picked up by more markets. So we just didn't make the cut. I really wanted to play the film, but we didn't get it. So maybe I can get it down the line, but by now the buzz is off.
Yeah, because it's going to top out under 10, maybe like under 5 or 7. It looks like.
Well, yeah, but it's still at a pretty decent opening weekend, and Neon's been crushing it lately.
Yeah.
I mean, Longlegs is, for that picture to do 60, was it going on 70 million now? I mean, that's just like, that's like a $300 million Deadpool in the horror arena. I mean,
Sure.
That's just crazy numbers.
For a $10 million movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Versus a $130 million movie like what we're talking about.
Well, and for something with so limited appeal, I mean,
Why do you feel
really...
the appeal was limited? Because to me it was a pastiche of a bunch of popular things like the Hannibal, the first one, the Silence of the Lambs.
Well, but it's not really a horror movie in the sense that jump scares.
Yeah.
It's not... And I'm going to try and not spoil it in case somebody out there hasn't seen it. But
technically we spoiled it on our previous episodes before, so yeah, you're
fine.
Good to spoil
No, this isn't a linear podcast. I change whether or not it is every episode.
But it's really more of a suspense thriller, mental horror, psychological thriller than it is a horror movie. And the way it's shot and the way that the acting is, it's got that sort of cinema verite acting style, which does not appeal to most people, but it's just so brilliantly done. And just the whole way that it's shot, where it's kind of half 16 mil and then half standard format, it's a brilliantly conceived film. But I just can't imagine that being, you'd pitch that and go, yeah, this is going to have a wide release. But Neon saw it, and they saw the potential in it, and it was marketed very well, and Nicolas Cage killed it.
Agreed.
Nicolas Cage is in that movie?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. He shouldn't have been in the marketing, because imagine if he'd shown up and this is produced by Nicolas Cage, and you saw that at the beginning, and then you get who is that guy? Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's my joke. I made that joke.
I steal your jokes all the time and then tell them in front of other people so that I seem funnier.
Thanks.
So what all good comedians do, they steal their material.
Okay, I'm just gonna quick look. I think we've hit all the things because you guys are you're saying we liked it, but you're kind of agreeing on all the things that So I'll hit you on scale and scope. This movie felt small to me. It felt like it was shot on blue screens, and the end especially, it felt like they're in this canyon so that it can feel, so they can have a couple dozen extras instead of 100 or thousands or whatever. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that. It doesn't feel like the vastness of space like a Marvel film or something like that. I will give you that. It just for me there were a lot more things worked than didn't work.
It kind of feels like this is fast food, and some movies are some movies are movies and some movies are films, as we've talked about before. So if you want fast food and you get the fast food you want, then you're happy.
Well, right. And again, I didn't have a lot invested in the film because I haven't played the game. Sure. So my only investment were in what I consider to be one of the finest casts ever assembled for this type of movie. I mean, Cate Blanchett has been in multiple Oscar-nominated films. She was nominated just recently for Tar.
Uh-huh.
And then you got Jamie Lee Curtis, who's just a friggin' legend. You've got Kevin Hart, who is just a genius and a huge, huge name in stand-up comedy. You've got Jack Black, who's just wonderful in anything he is. So it's how do you go wrong? I guess you can sort of be more disappointed in it in retrospect than you are when you kind of watch it, if you don't have as much invested in it as I was, because when I watched it, honestly, I thought the vast majority of it worked, and I had a good time. I laughed. I thought it was funny. I thought the great big worm scene where they blow that up and go through that, I thought that was great. But again, it's not the type of movie it's not the hill I'm going to die on.
Sure.
It's not.
Well, let me ask you a different question, because it relates to how you feed yourself. Would you have preferred if they Batgirl, since this movie is doing so badly, is this preferable to what they did to Batgirl? Because, Batgirl supposedly was bad, notable directors, and then they just, hey, we're going to take the tax write-off. What if they had made the tax write-off? And I'm appealing to you now as a business person. Then you wouldn't have this movie for, 4 weeks, and you have to have it for 4 weeks, even though it's going to be on VOD after 17 days, or something like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're going to try and scrape every last cent that they can off of this thing before they relegate it to the streaming graveyard.
Yes.
But, again, I don't think that you ever really, truly know. And, I mean, yes, there was a lot of negative buzz about the film, but I mean, there's been negative buzz about films before that. I mean, when that first X-Men Origins, Wolverine Origins, whatever the name of it was, there was a lot of negativity about that, and then the version leaked, and everybody and the special effects weren't finished on it, so everybody's like, oh, the special effects are crap. And the film still did really well. So I don't think that you ever really truly know if a movie is going to be as bad as you think it's going to be. And at that point, you've already committed hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to advertising. Well, at this point, what do you got to lose?
Hundreds of millions, because the average spend is $100 million.
I mean, the money's been spent at that point. So, you put it in theaters, and you stop your advertising, and then it's either going to make money or it isn't. And so then you play out the contract, and you continue to drop the terms, see if you can keep it on screen. You get as much as you can, and you take the write-off for the rest.
So you would prefer this to Batgirl's fate for this type of movie? Any movie, really, is kind of the question more than...
I think to a degree, and this is now my filmmaker's hat going on.
Okay.
I think you owe it to everybody who worked on the film to put it out there and let the audience decide. And that's what I truly believe. If you're going to spend, 8, 9, 10 months making a film, you're going to assemble a cast like that, you're going to assemble hundreds of talented filmmaking artisans, digital effects artists, crew, and you're gonna ask them to make this movie, and you're gonna get all excited about it, and you're gonna, yeah, we're making a movie, yeah, woo, and then to not release it. I mean, that's just a slap in the face. It's not all of those people's fault that the movie didn't turn out the way fans expected it to. Mm-hmm. It's not a sound editor's fault that the casting wasn't what the fans wanted. It's not a digital effects artist's fault that nobody liked Jack Black as Claptrap or whatever.
Is that really a thing people are saying?
Well, no, I'm just
okay.
spitballing now. But the point that I'm trying to make is it's not their fault. Sure. And it's sort of a testament to the work that everybody did put in to put it on screen and let these people who worked on it go to the theater and see their name in the credits. I mean, that's just bad. That's just being a bad connoisseur of film, a bad keeper of the art, to put all this energy in the film and just go, well, screw it, we're not going to play it. If they don't want to see it or whatever. I think that's crummy. I would never do that.
So you're gonna play Looney Tunes versus Acme if somebody acquires that in the next year or two and it eventually comes out?
I mean, if it's offered to me, I'll probably play it.
Sure.
You just never know. I really truly believe that. There are films that, I mean, look at the last Mission Impossible. I mean, that was probably as good of a film as you ever wanted to see.
I wish Nick was here.
And it just
This is like
Right,
it.
'cause you didn't
I loved it,
Just
but-
did not work. The Fall Guy
Oh,
is,
sure.
is another just. I saw that at CinemaCon, and I was coming back, and I was telling everybody, this is going to be the biggest movie of the summer. And
If it had come
just
out in
wasn't.
August, it would have. Like, if people had been back, that movie got screwed over by moving up because Deadpool and Wolverine moved, and hopefully obviously that worked because they made so much money. Would they have made that same money in May, and then would that money have run through,
Right.
like if the summer had truly kicked off in May as it used to,
Like, yeah,
like it used
once
to,
upon a time.
but now it doesn't because I can't tell you why the Fall Guy didn't work, and it bothers me. It's well, actually I can. The argument we came to on the podcast was that it's too Shane Black for romantic comedy audiences, and it's too romantic comedy for Shane Black audiences. So it falls into this weird like middle nexus where it was hard to market to the right audiences because both the guy and the girl are gonna like it to be somewhat sexist in how people go to the movies. My wife will like that movie when she sees it, even though she was probably like throwing me a bone going to an action movie.
Well, I thought it had something for everybody, personally. I loved it, and I can't imagine most of the female audiences not liking it either. I thought it had something for everybody. If somebody would have asked me to bet the farm on the film, I would have.
Huh.
And I'd be living in a tent.
Laura, do you disagree with any of the past platitudes here? Were you a big Fall Guy? Were you a big gal? Sorry. Were you a big Fall Guy gal?
I didn't love Fall Guy as much as you did,
Aha! Take that. It's a
but I
debate
didn't dislike it.
show. Yeah.
I felt like it was a little bit. It was one stunt after the other stunt after the other stunt after the other stunt. I felt like they were just trying to show off, and I feel like story and character lacked a little bit because of that.
Oh.
But the stunts were fun to watch.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a major loss. I wasn't crying in my popcorn because it was horrible. I still enjoyed it. I just didn't love it.
What was a home run for you this summer?
I don't remember. What did we watch this summer?
Everything.
You guys work at a movie theater, so you saw
Yeah,
everything.
we see everything.
Yeah.
I did love Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay.
What else was there? There was good stuff.
You guys big Maxine fans? We had a big argument about
I
that.
didn't see any of the preceding ones,
Oh, no.
actually, so I didn't bother with that one. What was the first one in that?
X
X,
comes out,
yeah.
but Pearl is a prequel to X.
Yeah, I don't know. I missed X somehow, and then all I heard was that, well, it's this and that, and then it's connected to this, and I just got so overwhelmed. I'm like, I'm not going to watch any.
Someday,
I mean, Maxine is pretty standalone. You don't need to watch the other two because
Arguably.
it's so separate. It's so separate
yeah,
from
all three of them are, but even
No,
you who
no.
knows a lot about movies. to
Pearl and
you, it
X
was
are
more-
way closer because they take place on the farm, and Maxine takes place in Hollywood.
Sure, but you could watch Pearl
Yeah.
without having seen X, and you can watch
Sure.
X without Pearl having ever existed, because that's originally how it was going to. Do you buy like the A24 sets when they come out?
No, not.
You haven't bought the director's cut of Midsommar or something like that?
Well, I saw that. once was enough.
Oh.
I need to
Yeah, it's
own
pretty
every
hard to
single.
watch. Rewatch.
That is a disturbing freaking film.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's pretty gory
I
too.
watch it
to
once
be
a year.
certain.
Wow.
But
Once a year.
I mean, getting back to your original question, I think the undisputed home run of the summer is Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, it just is.
Financially speaking, yes.
Well, but just on every conceivable level. I mean, for a number 3 in any series to be within millimeters of goodness as the first one is a triumph. I mean, I can think of maybe three other threes. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Back to the Future 3. I don't know. It's so rare that by the time you get to 3, it still feels fresh. It still feels like the series has farther to go. There's more material to be mined. And really, I didn't really like Deadpool 2 all that much. I didn't hate it, but I didn't think it was like super great. And I saw it twice, like he did with Borderlands, just to make sure that I hadn't missed something. And I didn't hate it, but I was kind of let down. This one, Deadpool Wolverine, I was not let down at all. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and I honestly didn't expect to like it that much.
I'm glad that this is on the Borderlands podcast, just because there's not that much to say about Borderlands for me. But I was very much disappointed because I went in as a big MCU fan. I watch Secret Invasion. So does Kirk, and
I wish that was a Batgirl situation where they did not
yeah,
release it.
yeah, I wish they Batgirled Secret Invasion for sure. So to me, I thought I was walking into a movie that was going to reset the MCU, and what it was a movie that made fun of me for wanting that and thinking that going in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to make a movie like that. I would argue that Disney is evil and marketed the opposite of what it was selling. Whereas when you bring up, oh, it's not going to be disrespectful to Logan, sure, I don't know. I would rather that happen, though, because I've come around somewhat on the movie because it's a good time for people and I enjoy that and I want movies to do good. But when I go into Borderlands, I'm like, this is a movie I would recommend. If someone were thinking about seeing it, most of the people I'd be like, nah, don't go see it, man. And I feel bad about that. That's why I don't want to feel that way. We all make movies. That's how we know each other. So yeah, final thoughts on Borderlands. Laura, you're women first. We gotta,
I think it was okay.
Okay.
I think people looking for entertainment purposes, for the fun of it, should go and see it.
Okay. Nathan?
I thought it was a good, solid B. Not a B plus, not a B minus, not an A minus, not a C plus. A good, solid B.
All right.
I enjoyed it far more than all of the pre-internet buzz would have led me to believe.
I liked it more than I thought I would.
And honestly, I attribute a lot of that to Jack Black. I really thought he was funny. I just did.
I'm glad this movie broke up Tenacious D so that it could fail at the box office. Because I believe that's why he had to distance himself from Kyle Gass from his minor gaffe. Kirk, your final thoughts?
Yeah, as the kids call it, it was mid. I was, again, hoping for a dumpster fire, and I didn't get that. So it was just an okay movie. I have no complaints.
I was bored, but
grudges.
I was glad I was there with you as I interrupt you. I'm so sorry, my sweet.
No, it's all good. Go ahead.
Yes. You end the podcast, right? We have a definite
Yeah,
end now? Okay.
we have a definite
What are we
end.
talking about next week? We don't know, do we?
We don't know. It's a surprise.
Oh, God.
No.
Well, you guys, when this
Alien
comes up...
Romulus.
Well, we did last time.
Oh, that's too bad.
What?
Boo.
What do you mean,
Because
boo?
I want to be on it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we got it. I thought you were booing Alien Romulus. I love that movie.
No, I loved Alien Romulus. I would love to be on that podcast because I have the weirdest opinion of the Alien franchise ever.
Go ahead.
That always gets me in trouble, and I don't care.
Is it a pregnancy thing?
I love Alien 3 over Aliens.
Yeah. The special edition or
Yes, special edition.
where you see like the alien come out early on, and then you get the whole like side plot with Holt McDowell. I haven't watched it in about a year and a half when I was going through it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that version.
Got it.
But I just thought that Alien 3, that's another one of the threes that I think is almost as good as the original, because how do you ruin a great concept? It's Aliens. You turn it into a big, dumb, stupid action flick. And if Bill Paxton hadn't been in Aliens, it would have been unwatchable.
I don't like that the what do you call it? Their goo doesn't melt through everything, like how it does in Alien, and then Alien Cubed, and then Alien Romulus. Obviously, it's very important, and that bothered me as a child when I saw it the first time.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's such a hot take, but I'm glad we have it. Please write in. Again, Nathan Block at... No.
No, I know. I get hate for it all the time, and I don't care. I love Alien 3. And Alien Romulus was just such... And see, here's where I had the opposite reaction because I saw a great big clip of Alien Romulus at CinemaCon, and all they showed us was the water scene with all the face huggers.
Oh.
And I thought, you gotta be kidding. They're doing aliens again. And I was so underwhelmed, and I was just biting my tongue. People were asking me, yeah, what do you think of Alien? And I'm like, yeah. And I just kind of put it off to the side because what we saw did not inspire me at all. And I was so pleasantly surprised with how good it was. Now, I still have a couple of problems with the plot, but the second half of Alien Romulus is about as good of a movie, a good a finish as you could ever hope for in anything. It was just great.
Yeah, the Borderlands trailer delivered on what the Borderlands movie was, whereas the Alien trailer didn't spoil the stuff I ended up liking about the movie. Whereas Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, that I was like ticking off each of the things I was going to get to in that movie, and that somewhat, hurt it for me. Kirk just gave me that look like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have high expectations like you did for Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah, but I will see Aliens 3 now because I did not like Aliens, so I'll see Aliens.
Oh, yeah, Kirk doesn't like Aliens either.
I didn't like
Yeah.
I'll show him the special edition. Don't worry.
You've never seen, seriously, you've never seen Alien 3?
I haven't seen the third one. I've seen
What about
1,
Resurrection?
2, and Resurrection, yeah.
Why?
1, 2, and Resurrection.
Why did he watch those ones? I don't know.
Dude, let's bring it to the theater. Let's watch it in the theater.
Right now.
Do you have the Blu-ray?
I do.
Okay, we're going to watch it in the theater. He's going to see it in the theater for the first time.
Right.
As soon as I get back from LA.
We can do a bonus because we do what we call. This show is called Movie Baters, spelled B-A-T-E because we debate. But we do BONE-US episodes where we give live commentary.
Do you think we'll ever get sponsors with that name?
I definitely hope so.
Yeah,
Specific
that'd be
types.
great.
A specific type of sponsor.
It's not vulgar enough. So
You're
it's around the sweet spot. Yeah.
Let's end on your sweet spot, dear.
All right. Stay tuned for our next sweet spot next week.